Welcome to the Five Things Podcast. My name is Shawn.
And I'm Carter.
And tomorrow is Cyber Monday, which follows the weekend after Black Friday.
Today is Small Business Saturday,
Yeah.
brought to you by American Express.
Wait, what?
Yeah, American Express came up with Small Business Saturday in 2010.
They did?
Yeah.
It wasn't Barack Obama?
Or, it wasn't like sort of a mass cultural thing. No, it was American Express. Everywhere you want to be.
Wow, I didn't know that at all. You blew my mind in the first 30 seconds this week.
Jeez. Well,
I saw a tweet from the White House today, because I follow the White House account, that was like, which small business are you supporting today? I did not realize that it was an American Express holiday.
an American Express holiday. I can only imagine what the other American Express holidays are.
Christmas?
Golden Parachute Tuesday? I don't know. Let me confirm this. I'm gonna. I don't want to have waited out here and not and just be talking out my butt. But I'm pretty sure American Express came up with the concept of the holiday.
I've always wanted to look up which holidays really are Hallmark holidays, like whether or not Father's Day was a Hallmark holiday. I have no idea. I'm sure that many of the things that we observe were created by a greeting card company. It's a conspiracy.
I just sent Sean the link to Small Business Saturday on AmericanExpress.com.
Okay. Rumor confirmed.
Small Business Saturday is an American shopping holiday held the Saturday after Thanksgiving. The holiday was conceived and promoted by American Express via a nationwide radio and television advertising campaign. There's the Wikipedia article, so it has to be real.
What's strange is that American Express, the reason it's American Express is it charges a higher premium. And why would small businesses... Until just recently, the grocery store that I worked at did not accept American Express because their premiums were too high.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that many of these small businesses that are going to benefit from this, I doubt that all of them have American Express.
Well, I'm looking at, so on the Wikipedia article, the one thing that Amex did in 2010 was it bought ad inventory, it bought ad space on Facebook, and gave it over to merchant account holders, like Amex small businesses. If you had a relationship with American Express, you could get some of these, these ads on Facebook for free.
Okay. So there are ways to partner.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it is whatever.
Just another consumer holiday. So, have you ever participated in Black Friday of any kind?
No. I mean, I went out yesterday and I bought something, but I bought it at 5 in the afternoon.
Right. I also went out yesterday.
I didn't stay in my home, but...
I have one time. I went to Circuit City for, I don't know, a DVD player or something.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, there's a reason it was only one time.
There was a story on the evening news about people who had lined up on Tuesday at a Best Buy for Friday. It's like a whole thing. They have a tent. They had a generator. So I mean, it was so ridiculous. They had a gas generator to power a grill and a TV and an Xbox 360. I'm like, you already have an Xbox 360. What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you buying?
Look, there's no new stuff. I mean, you're getting a Wii U. I'm just like, and the person who they interviewed was like, well, we figured it out, and we're gonna save $600 by lining up here 3 days before Black Friday. And I'm like, but the opportunity cost alone of just being there has got to be more than $600. Right?
My wife was talking about it at one of our Thanksgiving festivities, and she said, my time is worth more than what I would save by waiting.
Exactly. Although some of these people are like, well, it's the experience and it's a family thing.
Right.
I'm like, what a gross American thing to do.
John Green wrote a Tumblr post that was about, he has a degree in religious studies, and he wrote about how by all by all reasonable definitions of a religious observance, Black Friday is a religious observance.
I buy it.
Because it's just it's a habit. It is a regularly observed holiday. It has rituals, and like it often involves family and friends, and it brings people together and all that kind of stuff. And I'm fine with all of those people doing it while I stay here in my home asleep.
Yeah, also, it makes no sense.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
let's reel it in. Reel it in.
Oh. Well, actually, the religious observances may make more sense than Black Friday because, you know, you may genuinely believe that you need to do these things, right? Like, or you may have to. There could be some metaphysical truth to, or, you know, power in the things you're doing for religion, but I can tell you for sure, you're not saving any money with this Black Friday crap.
Nope.
Not at all. You're wasting time, you're wasting money. And it's all an effort of these businesses to shift in time your spending earlier into the year. I mean, it's totally...
It's in the title, Black Friday.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're trying to do. Even though I saw on some business article I was reading online that regardless of how hard these companies push you to participate in this, you know, ritual observance, they still make all their money, you know, the Saturday before Christmas. No matter how hard they try not to have to wait until the very end of the year before they know if they're going to have to go out of business.
It's because people don't want to plan. Working in a supermarket, we did this thing for several years that was called like a taste of the holidays. And in like mid-November, or actually it might have been the beginning of November, we would make it look like Christmas. We would put on Christmas music. We would put out giant tables with people serving food, and we would like demonstrate. These are all the things that you can get for the holidays. And we would put out pre-order forms, and we'd be like, if you order now, you're going to save 10 to 15 to 20% off of your order that you can pick up for Christmas. It never worked. It never worked.
It's almost shocking that didn't work.
People came for the free food and they ate it all, but the amount of orders that we would actually get were never worth what we spent on promoting the thing.
Well, I hope if anyone listening did participate in Black Friday, I hope you had a good time. Let us know about it.
There was a photo of a girl on Reddit checking out at Walmart with $1,100 worth of video games.
She and her boyfriend are gonna have a really good time. Or was she a little girl?
No, it was a young woman.
Yeah.
Lucky boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Or girlfriend. Let us know if you or your families participate in this. You can like leave a comment, or you can tweet with the hashtag FTCast.
FTCast. I'm going to hopefully remember to update that on the video.
Yes. I was checking for follow-up here at the top, and I'm like, let me check our hashtag. There is one tweet. It's from Shawn.
And it's me declaring that we're using this hashtag.
So anyway, everyone, if you're using SCHP, or any other variety on the 5 things hashtags, use FTCast.
FTCast.
No one else is using it. It's kind of nice to have your own hashtag now, Shawn.
South Carolina can keep their highway patrol.
Yeah, they won. Well, we won. I don't know how, but we did.
Okay, good.
Anyway, well, before we move into topics, and we have quite a few this week, or maybe not, we wanted to mention a couple of movies that we saw outside of Skyfall. I think my idea last week was that we would spend maybe a minute or two talking about Skyfall, and it turned into like 10. Because it was so good.
It was so good.
You know, it was not so good. You disagree with me, I think. But I saw Paranormal Activity 4. You talked about that with Alicia.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I can't even.
Oh, no.
I didn't like it, Shawn.
Ah!
I didn't like it nearly as much as the other 3.
Which one do you think is your favorite?
That's tough. And I went back and watched all 3 of them.
Yeah, we did too. Couldn't help it.
I have a lot of affection for the first one, just because it was, my first time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's my favorite. So it comes down to the second and the third one.
2 or 3.
And I think the second one is my favorite.
But it might be narrow.
It could be, yeah, it's close. I really like some of the gags in the third one. I really like how they expanded the story. I'm also a little like, oh, maybe they shouldn't have expanded the story at this point. Uh, Whereas the second one I thought was like a really nice like continuation of the first in a really unexpected direction, and I thought it was even more scary, and it had just a bigger, broader, darker, brooding tone. I really liked the acting, the performances. Um, I liked everything about the second one. But the third one I really liked as well. This new one, I just think it didn't. I don't know. It felt a little more commercial to me. Maybe that's what kind of brought it down for me. Did you feel that?
I made the note in our recap that they made a very deliberate move to be funny, which I don't remember the other ones ever really being just funny, just actually funny.
No, yeah, there was some little funny moments between characters.
The first like half an hour, 45 minutes before there was much suspense of any kind, I felt like they really went for funny, and it was okay with me.
Yeah,
A lot of horror movies play like that. Like the first half or 45 minutes is either a lot of humor or a lot of sex, and then it changes to horror.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I don't know. I thought the actors' performances were pretty forgettable for me. I was a little creeped out by how sexualized they were going for that girl. She seemed too young to play that role.
I didn't think she was as young as she was until someone said it, and then all of a sudden I was a little weirded out.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, these are weird. Ooh, I'm 25. She looks like she's 14 years old. Like that's not cool. I think like they did a much better job in the second movie. She actually and her boyfriend seemed like 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
So I was a little skeeved out by that.
I was really half expecting the girl from the second movie to show up because she's still alive. She's somewhere.
That's true. See, I mean, I think this series is collapsing under its own weight.
Diminishing returns.
I think that for sure. And I think that there's just like too much out there. Like what I was expecting was that they would dig back through their treasure trove of stolen VHS tapes that we know from the third movie. Like all those VHS tapes got stolen. And they went into the future, and they had this sort of like, I thought it was kind of a ham-fisted story with Hunter and the kid and the whatever. And I also really did not like the next door neighbor kid at all. I know that he's just a kid actor, but I found him really annoying.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I found him very annoying. And I don't know. I just found it to be not as it didn't play as honest for me as the previous, at least as the first two. The third one did seem a little overproduced, but they were overproducing it to make it seem like it was 1984 or something.
To sell the illusion.
Right, and this one just seemed like, I don't know. And I totally get that they were going for the whole, like, it's all taking place in a webcam. Like, I got that, where I think a lot of reviewers didn't. They're like, it's just some movie. And I'm like, no, it is pretty interesting that you have to experience it all from this angle all the time.
Right.
But I still also sort of was like, I don't know. So I was a little...
Yeah, it definitely wasn't my favorite. I am also pressed to pick between 2 and 3. Alicia said the third one is definitely her favorite. She has a friend who's seen them all, and she said the third one is her favorite. I don't know if it's just the story of the two little girls that is so interesting, or if it's the whole 1980s vibe that makes it really good. But the third one is really good.
Or is it the oscillating fan camera?
Could be.
Also, what was that little demon thing that you could only see on the Kinect?
I don't know. That was one of the things Alicia and I were talking about, because we really don't know what is demon, what is Toby, what is...
Isn't Toby like a big giant thing with hooves?
I don't know. I don't know if they're all the same thing that can appear like different things, or if there's more than one thing going on. I have no idea.
Also, I didn't do this, but did you watch past the end of the credits?
No.
There's stuff after the end of the credits. Did you know that?
No.
It's in Mexico. And apparently the next movie is going to be, this is the thing that really makes me a little angry, is that this movie does very well in Spanish speaking countries, especially in Latin America. The next movie is going to be kind of like taking place in Mexico and have like a Spanish kind of thing going on.
Oh, so you're right. They are trying to sell it.
They're just cashing in. Or not, maybe it'll be great, I don't know. But apparently, yeah, apparently there was some sort of indication that the next thing is going to take place.
I'm still
Mexico.
waiting. This is kind of unrelated, but you reminded me. At the end of 28 weeks later, have you seen that?
Yes.
After the credits, it opens, you see the end of the tunnel and all of the zombies invading Paris. And
Yes.
there's been no talk of a next piece to that series. And I loved that series and I loved the sequel. And I want the one where it goes global.
Well, I don't think they're gonna do it.
Why not?
It's because it's been like 6 years since. When did 28 Weeks Later come out?
I don't know.
Long time ago. Long time ago. Well, they're already
5
they
years.
had already
It'll be 6 years very soon.
yeah, they had already greenlit Paranormal Activity 5 before 4 even debuted. So there will be at least one, probably two more.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, we saw other movies, other really good movies.
Yeah. Yeah, like probably Best Picture nominees.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. Are you talking about Argo?
I'm talking about Argo. F yourself.
Argo. I saw this waitress and she was saying like, you know those Canadians? What? You know, why can't we ever do anything like that here in America? And you know what I said to her? Go f yourself. It was such a good movie. Oh my goodness. I was like, I saw the trailer. I didn't know what it was about until I saw the trailer because I've been living in a hole for the past 2 months, 3 months. And I'm like, this looks really interesting. And it was.
I think Ben Affleck has studied Martin Scorsese on how to make just a good movie. Just like solidly paced, good balance between action and humor and a smart script. And like he just hits all of the exact pacing moments and it just works so effectively. Did you see The Town?
I did. I loved it.
Yeah, we watched that like 2 weeks before we saw Argo because I'd seen all of Ben Affleck's movies, quote unquote, because now we're up to, what, 3 or 4? And I hadn't seen The Town, and I wanted to make sure I saw it so that I would have the full Ben Affleck experience.
Yeah, Argo was fantastic. I mean, it's like everything, you know? The cast, the script, the awesome music from the late 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That's another Scorsese thing, is using music from the era, which is hard to do.
Get all of the like cultural touchstones.
Yeah.
The hair.
The hair. Oh god, the hair. The terrible, terrible hair. And I mean, John Goodman and Alan Arkin just stole the show, I thought. They were fantastic as the Hollywood types.
Mm-hmm. And John Goodman was a freaking dead ringer for the guy he played, the makeup artist
dude?
from Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god, he was fantastic. I mean, that's so hard to do. Who cast this? That's so hard to do, to pick like when they showed at the end the people and the real people with like their passports,
their counterparts.
Stuff. All of them looked very similar to who they were playing.
Kyle, what's his face from Friday Night Lights? Kyle Chandler. He played I think it was the Secretary of State or something. I looked that guy up because I was like, there's no way he can look that much like Kyle Chandler. He looks exactly like Kyle Chandler. They look like twins.
The Chief of Staff, right?
Chief of Staff.
Yeah. Yeah, they looked incredibly similar. Most of the people who were playing the not hostages, but the diplomats, most of them looked like the people they were playing. And also most of them were, you know, kind of actors you hadn't heard of. The ones that I knew I knew Clea Duvall from various things that, you know, whatever, like
including American Horror Story.
Yeah, yes, but you know, also The Grudge and Girl Interrupted, and then Carrie Bichet, she was the main character on the ninth season of Scrubs that nobody watched. That was really bad.
Oh, oh my
She
God! I
was the
completely
wife.
forgot.
She was the wife of the one who didn't want to collaborate with
Right, 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 right.
Ben Affleck. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I know her from something. I'm like, oh yeah, you were what's her name
Scrubs.
from the ninth season of Scrubs, from Scrubs Med School Edition or whatever.
Yeah.
Ugh, horrible.
Alicia and I
Don't even.
rewatched the entirety of Scrubs, and on Netflix they have that. And when we got to the end of the 8th season, we were like, "Okay, done." Did not watch anymore.
Yeah, aren't you glad they never made a Matrix 2 or 3?
I'm really glad they never made a 9th season of Scrubs.
Yeah. Um, Argo's fantastic. People just should see it if they have an opportunity while it's still in the theater. It's what blows me away is that it is, somewhat loosely based on a true story. Like this kind of happened this way.
Right.
With some tweaks and whatever, and
Maybe not as
it's a
dramatically, but yeah, basically this happened.
the thing that they tweaked the most was their escape was not nearly
It
as
wasn't that
dramatic
dramatic.
and suspenseful. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat
That's
as
what's
they
really
were.
cool because you basically knew going into this movie, even if you just saw the trailer, that they're fine. But it doesn't matter. You get so wrapped up in the suspense of the thing that you just convince yourself that something's going to go wrong. And it's awesome.
Yeah, it's every little thing. It's like is the housemaid going to spill the beans to the Revolutionary Guard? Are they not going to whatever? It was fantastic. I did some research afterward, and this movie really did you know toot the CIA's horn a bit more than it probably should have been
Right.
tooted, but
There was probably some more credit should have lain in the Canadians' hands.
yes. And also Ben Affleck was like, well, yeah, that's probably true, but it's a movie, and we want it to be like suspenseful and interesting.
Yeah.
So,
That's
Argo.
why based on a true story, not a documentary.
Exactly. Exactly. There are some excellent books and I believe a documentary and a TV miniseries that doesn't go into the CIA's role on this that came out, based,
In the 80s, like not that long
yeah, like
after it
way
happened.
back. Like, yeah, well, way, way, way back. Yeah.
They basically wrote a story based around what information was released publicly, which a lot of it was either incomplete or kind of not factual.
Somewhat non-factual. Any other movies that you saw that you want to bring up?
I can't think of any.
Or Toot? I still haven't seen Lincoln.
I know that's on my list.
It's on my list. It's on my list.
I actually really want to see, not just because she wants to see it, but I do really want to see Silver Linings Playbook, but it won't freaking open. I feel like I'm going to go through the Mike Birbiglia thing again. It just doesn't open around here. It's at a theater that's like 40 miles away, but I'm not driving that far to see a movie.
No, I'm with you there. I don't. I have no strong desire to see Silver Linings Playbook. If someone told me,
Not only do I like David O. Russell a lot, but I gotta say, Katniss is really growing on me.
she made some very offensive comments on Ellen about Chaz Bono recently. But
Okay.
anyway, I still haven't seen Looper, and that came out during our blackout.
Oh, Looper's tremendous.
I haven't seen it.
I can't wait for you to see it. You're gonna love it.
I haven't seen Looper. Life of Pi is out here. I think I'll see it, probably. I read the book.
I
when
keep
was-
trying to convince myself I'm gonna go see one of these awesome 3D movies in 3D, and I still haven't done it.
Like which ones? Like Frankenweenie?
Any of the ones that are like supposedly the movie to see in 3D. Like I even considered going to see Jackass 3D because I was like, what other experience could I get like this?
Well, I'll tell you what movie I haven't seen that I want to see that's out right now, and then also a movie that's coming out that I really want to see, which maybe you do or not. I don't know if we talked about this. Sinister? It's a horror movie with Ethan Hawke that's out right now.
I think you sent me something about it a while ago.
Um,
Ethan
Yeah.
Hawke. Man, I haven't heard that name for a while.
right? It's he. I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say that people who are interested in the Slender Man mythos have been interested in this movie.
Okay.
Ethan Hawke discovers a box of home movies, and it sort of unleashes some thing.
Okay.
One of the original Paranormal Activity producers was involved in it, and I really want to see it. It's playing here. I probably will try and find a way to see it in the next couple days. Have you heard about the movie VHS? Have we talked about that?
Yeah. Oh, that was the one you sent me something about.
I have it on demand, and I've seen the first half of it, and I'm gonna watch the rest of it tonight. It's interesting.
Is it available on iTunes or anything yet?
No. I'll get there when we talk about one of our topics. So,
well, you know what else came out over our interim?
Yeah, what, Sean?
Well, it's funny that we're talking about it today because just today, Gangnam Style by Psy has become the most viewed video on YouTube ever.
Really?
Yes.
More than David After Dentist?
Until now. You know what's really weird? Because the music category on YouTube is so uneven with everything else, they leave all music out of the metrics for YouTube.
I did not know that.
Yes. So I don't know if David After Dentist still has the most views. It might. But the actual most views until today was Justin Bieber's video for Baby, which came out 2 years ago. That was at 803 million hits. Today, Gangnam Style by Psy hit 80. It was at 806 when I checked it earlier. There has been a push. I go to this video fairly often just to see where it's at, and there has been a push over the past month or two to. It seems like people are just living on that page, refreshing it to try and get it to 1 billion by 2013.
Aren't there stop gaps and stuff on YouTube to make that sort of not work?
I don't know.
I think there are.
But I mean, the other thing is likes are supposedly unique to accounts.
Yes.
So you can't like something more than once. Gangnam Style is getting 15 likes a second.
How many likes does it have right now?
Something like 5.5 million.
Jeez. That's intimidating.
And I covered Gangnam Style a little bit on 5 Things, but by the time I got to it, it was
Sorry,
why should I bother?
I thought you were gonna say you covered it on your drum channel.
I've thought about doing that several times. I will link. There are several excellent drum covers of it. I will link by far the funniest one. And I will leave it at no more than that. You just have to watch it, and you have to watch it till he gets to the chorus.
Well, I have not seen many covers of Gangnam Style other than the amazing Ohio State Marching Band cover of Gangnam Style.
Which Psy himself in an AMA said is his favorite version.
And it's incredible, and proves that they are indeed the best damn band in the land. How did this become so big? Why this?
I have no idea. I don't understand it. I think that I was trying to compare it to other novelty songs that have just taken off, and I can't think of one that is anything like this. And I was like, well, the Macarena is mostly in Spanish, and then I actually listened to it, and I was like, okay, no, it's just 4 lines in the chorus are in Spanish. The whole rest of it is in English. And I don't know. I have no idea what to compare it to.
I mean, I think that before the internet, disco songs.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking of is disco songs that you would hear on what was Casey Kasem's on Soul Train or something or whatever. I think maybe it's comparable to something like that where it's some unknown artist and they get catapulted to the top and they spend a whole summer everybody's dancing and whatever. But I think you're right that it's more than that.
I think it's because of the internet.
I mean, obviously, this would not have become popular outside of South Korea if not for the internet.
He is not only like a worldwide success financially because he's selling millions of copies of the song, but he's literally recognized everywhere.
Does he wear that same getup all the time now? Does he have to?
No. And he said,
No?
like, he's not used to this level of fame. His family is not used to this level of fame. And he tries to hide in public as just like anonymous Asian man. and it still doesn't work. People recognize him everywhere.
I mean, I don't even know what to. I mean, he really does need to come up with another song.
He does have other songs.
No, another like big song, right? Like either he was like Psy, the Gangnam Style dude, or and then fades away, and then he has like some popular bass in South Korea a year or two from now, or he has another big song, right? Does he have another big song in his pocket?
Well, the good thing is, I think at least like artistically speaking, he's not planning on like trying to write in English.
Sure.
He can I guess speak English well enough, but he's not gonna quote unquote sell out.
Well, I mean, like one thing that I saw about this song particularly is that while it's just sort of a pop song that people do that funky dance to
Right.
in all the rest of the world, it actually is kind of a subversive song in South Korea,
Right.
attacking the rich,
And he says it's
whatever,
not,
yeah.
but
well, I mean, but like
on
even if
some
you're
level it has to be.
doing it, right? Yeah, even if you're not intentionally doing that, I mean, if you're parodying the the people who are trying to pretend to be rich by drinking $5 coffees at Starbucks, and apparently coffee is like a big deal in South Korea. I've heard that before as well, while like only eating like ramen noodles, like that's a line in the song. You can only afford to eat, these girls can only afford to eat ramen noodles because they spend all their money on like fancy coffee. I mean, you are talking about your culture.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like, well, yeah, that's just like what happens. Like they do that.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a Louis C.K. kind of like, well,
A little bit
that's
of a
something
critique. Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, a little bit, a lot, yeah.
I can't say that I don't like it. I do like the song.
It's catchy,
It's really catchy.
and I don't know any of the words.
I
Like Gangnam Style.
I keep thinking that it's going to eventually, like, there's going to be like when what's his face Rick rolled the Thanksgiving, what's his name, Rick
Ghastly.
Astley. He rickrolled the Thanksgiving Day parade a couple years ago, like after Rickroll took off, and after that, Rickrolling like took a downturn. I keep thinking that there's going to be a moment where that happens with this, and when I heard that he performed at the AMAs with MC Hammer, I was like, well, that was undoubtedly it. And then I looked it up and I watched it on YouTube. The people in that audience are having the best time. It looks so much fun.
Well, maybe the thing that will take it down is Glee is covering it, or already has.
Really? I didn't even know
Yes.
that. How?
I think it's coming out.
In English?
No,
They're gonna do it in Korean.
Korean. Yeah, in Korean.
Maybe there's
There's
gonna
a-
be like a rival group that is Korean or something.
I don't think it is. I think it's. I haven't been following Glee since the first season.
You know what's really funny? I literally watched an episode of Glee before we started this podcast.
Like an old one or a newish one?
A new one. I'm trying to catch up on the newest season, which is much better than the like last two seasons, I will say.
Is it season 4 that we're on now?
I think so.
It was only a matter of time before Psy's viral K-pop smash Gangnam Style found its way onto an episode of Glee. If you're a fan of the show and the song and can't wait for the actual episode to air, so it hasn't aired yet, here is the studio version of it. And I don't know if this article knows what it's talking about, but those kids at McKinley High in Ohio aren't as small town as you might think. It sounds like they are actually covering it themselves in Korean.
Okay.
So that might be the shark jump.
But somehow I still think no.
Really? I mean, this is just the music. So I would like to see these Glee kids.
I'm sure whatever they do in the episode will have just, it'll have horses somehow and
Who knows? Who knows? It's really just fascinating what can take over because of the internet now. Some dude named Cy. He was on Ellen. That's how I know you're big. You're on Ellen.
That's what they said on Saturday Night Live. When
Are you kidding?
there was a sketch. This was the first time that I actually saw it. Like I'd heard it, I'd seen it on YouTube, and then he appeared on SNL. And one of the characters in the sketch didn't know who he was, and the other guy was like, "He was on Ellen, man. DeGeneres."
I mean, Ellen DeGeneres is her show is basically like the Bob Hope show or like a variety show. You know, it's like if you're on Ellen, it's like, oh, you're famous, you're on Ellen, which I think is great. I think that
I watched a lot of Ellen when I was in college.
I get a lot of my pop culture news from Ellen. I really like Ellen DeGeneres, so helps that she's married to Portia de Rossi.
Oh, yeah, that helps.
All right. Well, Gangnam Style. I really don't know how to pronounce it, and I actually know in my notes I realized that I spelled it wrong.
Gangnam.
And I don't know why I'm correcting myself in my notes that no one but me will ever see, but I am correcting it.
But now we all know.
Gangnam Style. All right. Well, something happened as well over the past week, which kind of brought me down, Sean. Down a couple notches.
Oh no. But we're back with our podcast. What could possibly derail that?
Some podcasts that I follow going off the air soon.
Oh, is there not enough room in the podcast space?
There's not. It's like eventually we're gonna run out of web pages.
Oh.
So, you know, you got to be careful.
Once you get to 10 billion served, there's no more room on the board for numbers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, that Wikipedia is destroying the internet, just like sucking up all the web pages. So
every time they make a new page.
Guys, be careful. Do you really need that page? We could use that. How many internet trees did we have to destroy to make these web pages?
So what's going away?
So the 5x5 network is very near and dear to my heart. I have been listening to podcasts on it for a very long time. And two podcasts, Hypercritical with John Siracusa and Build and Analyze with Marco Arment, are going to go off the air at the end of the year.
Ooh.
Both of them. They are two of the very oldest, longest-lived podcasts on 5x5.
Have they not been leading up to this? Did they just suddenly announce?
They suddenly announced, both of them, this week, that they would be going off the air separately. And then Dan Benjamin recorded a State of the Union sort of, here's what's happening on 5x5 next year. And then he talked about it. And being Dan Benjamin, he was a total class act. And he you know, talked about what's going on with both of those podcasts. And the long and the short of it is, they've been on for 2 years. They both didn't really think that they would be, you know, long. They're not news shows. They're not like dealing with stuff like timely stuff.
Right.
And they both felt, you know, they're kind of running out of steam and they'd like to go out on high notes, and they're ending.
Okay.
It was not a sudden break like the talk show, which was also on 5x5, where just like one day it was there and the next day, boom, it's gone and on another network. Both Marco and John, you know, were very public and open, like, hey, you know, they didn't make any joint statement or anything like that, but they both separately said, like, you know, we think we're kind of our shows have run their course, and we want to end them on our own terms, which I think is fair.
Okay.
I specifically want to bring up Hypercritical, though, because, and I think I specifically mentioned this on a podcast a while ago, one of ours, that part of our format, and now it's, you know, the show has kind of evolved over time, but part of the original format of this show was inspired by, ripped off, from Hypercritical. I think I described this show back maybe 50 podcasts ago as being, you know, the format as being Hypercritical plus the talk show, where you have follow-up short topics, one or two long topics, and then tacking on an entertainment thing at the end. That idea, you know, we got from the talk show. So I can say with, you know, with certainty, even though like Sean and I kind of wanted to do a podcast, I don't think I would be doing this podcast, certainly not in the way that I like to, without the influence of Hypercritical and John Siracusa. So I just want to say, thank you, John and Marco and Dan, for all the hours that I've invested in your shows, and thank you for inspiring me to podcast. And I will miss them both very much. But they have a good back catalog, so you should check them out.
Right, all those podcasts just floating out there in the nether.
Yep.
You sent me an article that CGP Grey wrote about his sentiments on these podcasts leaving, and he pointed out something that I also observed is a function of our podcast. It is I think it was Hypercritical he was talking about, is a conversation. And Carter and I don't know each other in real life. I mean, we've met twice, but we don't live near each other. We don't talk that often. We communicate mostly in messages that are under 200 characters until we actually record. So this that the listeners get to observe every week is like our conversation of the week.
That's right. I mean, and it's a conversation that, our small listeners, they get to sort of take a part in. And, I wouldn't be surprised if the people who listen to us, I'm thinking specifically of like Elaine, especially since I came back to podcasting and I've been tweeting more. She was like, oh, it's so nice to like have you back.
Right.
This is like one of the times when, people get to interact with us, even if it's just sort of listening to us talk and have this conversation. They sort of get to be a part of this conversation. And this is what CGP Grey brought up, and he was referencing John Siracusa, talking about Steve Jobs when he retired. When something like this goes away, it almost feels like, in some ways, like, someone died.
Yeah.
It sounds morose, but and the reason why is because you lose access to that thing that you had. The only public facing aspect of my life that people have access to is this podcast, or like Five Things. Like if Five Things suddenly went away, it'd be like, well, it seems like Shawn wouldn't be dead, but people would lose that part of your life that you shared with people.
Yeah. And it's different, especially the podcast is different from like being on a TV show or something, because that's not real life. Like the podcast, even though we're usually talking about other people's stuff or whatever, you're capturing our personal opinions and like our state of mind at this time.
Which is all to say, I'm very sorry that these podcasts are leaving, and but I'm glad that they will. Both John and Marco are going to continue to blog and tweet, and they are going to participate on other podcasts, but they're not going to have their own dedicated podcast that they host. Which I understand. They and Dan invest a lot more time than Shawn and I invest in their podcast, and we invest.
Professional.
See professional. But nevertheless, it does take us several hours just to get together a podcast once a week, and I can only imagine how much time they have to invest in making their podcasts, and they're busy people, and I'll get over it. There's still some left.
There's also plenty of other podcasts in the sea.
There are other podcasts in the sea, and I have actually been seeking them out. So.
When you told me that two of your favorites were ending, I was almost sure that the History of Rome was going to be one, because I just figured that one had to have an end.
That one ended.
Okay.
That one ended in the middle of the year while I was still on the campaign, and when it ended, the last episode was called The End, and I was just like inconsolable for a good 20 minutes.
Nice.
Okay.